Chapter 25. How the Lords all journeyed to the Huns. Now, let us leave the tale of how they lived at Etzel's court. More high-mettled warriors never rode in such lordly wise to the land of any king. They had whatever they listed, both of weapons and of weeds. The ruler of the Rhineland clad his men, 1,060 knights, as I have heard, and 9,000 footmen, for the courtly feast. Those they left at home bewailed it in after time. The trappings were now borne across the court at Worms, and when spake an aged bishop from Spire to fair Uta, our friends would journey to the feasting. May God preserve their honour there. The noble Lady Uta then spake to her sons, Pray tarry here, good knights. Me dreamed last night of dearest woe, how all the fowls in this land lay dead. Who reeketh aught of dreams, quoth Hagen. He roteth not how to say the proper words, when 'twould bring him great store of honours. I wish that my lord go to court to take his leave. We must gladly ride to Etzel's land. The arms of doughty heroes may serve kings there full well, where we shall behold Kriemhild's feast. Hagen counselled the journey, but later it rued him sore. He would have advised against it, but that Gernot encountered him with such rude words. Of Siegfried, Lady Kriemhild's husband, he minded him. He spake, because of him Hagen will not make the journey to the court. At this Hagen of Tronig spake, I do it not from fear. Heroes, when it pleases you, begin the work. Certes, I will gladly ride with you to Etzel's land. Later he carved to pieces many a helm and shield. The skiffs were now made ready, and many a knight stood there. Thither men bare wherever clothes they had. Busy they were until the eventide. Then full merry they set forth from home. Tents and pavilions were raised upon the green beyond the Rhine. When this had happened, the king bade his fair wife tarry with him, and that night she still embraced her stately knight. Trumpeting and fluting rose early on the morning, as a sign they should rise. When to work they went, whoso held in his arms his love caressed the fair. Later King Etzel's wife parted them with woe. Fair Uta's sons, they had a liegeman, brave and true. When they would hence, he spake to the king in secret wise and mind. Quoth he, I must bewail ye, that ye make this journey to the court. He was hight from Molt, and was a hero of his lands. And he spake, To whom will ye leave your folk and lands? Oh, that none can turn you warriors from your mind. These tidings from Kriemhild would never thought me good. Be the land and my little child too, commend to thy care. Serve well the ladies, for that is my wish. Comfort any that thus see in tears. Certes, King Etzel's bride will never do us harm. The steeds were now ready for the kings and their men, and many a one who lived there, high of spirit, parted thence with loving kisses. This many a stately dame must later needs bewail. When the doughty knights were seen go toward the steeds, men spied full many ladies standing sadly there. Their hearts did tell them that this long parted body them great harm. This doth never ease the heart. The doughty Burgundians started on their way, and then in the land a mighty turmoil rose. On either side of the mountains there wept both men and wives, but whoever the folk might bear them, the knights jogged merrily along. With them rode the men of Nibelung, 1,000 hauberks strong, who had left many comely dames at home, who they never saw again. Siegfried's wounds gave Kriemhild pain. Gunther's liegemen now wended their way towards the river Main, up through eastern Frankland. Thither Hagen led them, for well he wot the way, and Dankwart was their marshal, the hero for Burgundian land. As they rode away from the eastern Frankland towards Swanfield, men could tell the princes and their kin, the worshipful knights, by their lordly bearing. On the 12th morning the king came to the Danube. Hagen of Tronig rode foremost of them all, giving to the Nibelungs helpful cheer. On the sandy shore the bold knights dismounted, and bound his steed full soon to a tree. The river was much swollen, and the skiffs hidden away. Great fear the Nibelungs had, as to how they might come across, for the stream was much too broad, and full many a lusty knight laid it on the ground. Ill may it lightly hap with thee here, quoth Hagen, O ruler of the Rhine. Now mayst thou thyself see the river is swollen, its flood is mighty. Certes, I ween, we shall lose here many a worthy knight today. Why dost thou rebuke me, Hagen? Spake the lordly king. For thine own prowess' sake discomfort me no more, but seek us the ford across to the other bank, that we may take hence both steeds and our trappings. Forsooth, quoth Hagen, I be not so weary of life that I will drown me in these broad waves. Sooner shall men die by my hands in Ethel's lands. That will I well. Stay back the water's side, ye proud knights and good, and I will seek the ferryman myself along the stream, who shall ferry us across to Guilford's land. Then the stalwart Hagen seized his good shield. Well was he armed. The shield he bare along, his helmet bound upon his head. Bright and vow it was. Above his breastplate he bare a sword so broad that might fiercely it cut on either edge. To and fro he sought the ferryman. He heard the splash of water and began to listen, and in a fair spring wise women were bathing for to cool them off. Now Hagen spied them, and crept toward them most stealthily, and when they grew ware of this, they hurried fast to escape him. Glad enow they were of this. The hero took their clothes, but did them naught else of harm. Then spake one of the mermaids, Halberg she was called. Sir Knight Hagen, will do you here to wit, and ye give us our weeds again, bold knight, how ye will fare upon this journey to the Hunnish court. Like birds they floated before him on the flood. Therefore him thought their senses strong and good. He believed the more that they would tell them. Well they answered what he craved of them, and Hadburg spake again. Ye may safely ride to Etzel's land. I'll stake my troth to one as pledge, that heroes never rode better to any realm for such great honours. Now believe that in truth. In his heart Hagen was joyous at this rede. He gave them back their clothes, and he no longer tarried. As they donned their strange attire, they told him rightly of the journey to Etzel's land. The other mermaid spake, Siglin she hight. I will warn thee, Hagen, son of Aldrin, for the sake of her weeds Minot hath lied to thee, and thou comest to the Huns. Thou wilt be sore deceived. Time is that thou shouldst turn again, for ye heroes be bidden that ye may die in Etzel's land. Whoso riddeth hither hath taken death by the hand. Answered Hagen, Ye deceived us needlessly. How might it come to pass that we should all die there, through anybody's hate? Then again they tell him the tale still more knowingly. The same one spake again. It must needs be that none of you shall live, save the king's chaplain. This we know full well. He will come again safe and sound to Gunther's land. Then spake bold Hagen, fierce of mood. It were not well to tell my lords that we should all lose our lives among the Huns. Now show us over the stream, thou wisest of all wives. She answered, Sith ye will not turn you from the journey, up yonder where an inn doth stand by the waterside, there is a ferryman, and elsewhere none. At once he ceased to ask for further tidings. After the angry warrior she called, Pray bide a time, Sir Hagen, forsooth ye too much in haste. List further to the tale of how ye may cross to the other bank. The lord of these marches beareth the name of Else. His brother is hight King Gelfart, a lord in Bavarian land. 'Twill go hard with you, and ye will cross his land. Ye must guard you well, and deal fully wisely with the ferryman. So grim of mood is he that he'll not let you live, unless be that ye have your wits about you with the night. And ye will that he guide you, then give him his meed. He guardeth his land and his liegemen unto Guilford, and cometh he not betimes. So call across the flood and say, Ye hight Almeric, he was a doughty here that, because of a feud did void this land. The ferryman will come when he heareth this name. Haughty Hagen bowed then to the dames. He spake no more, but held his peace. Then by the river he hied him high up on the sandy shore, to where he found an inn up of the other bank. Loudly he began to call across the flood, Now come and fetch me, ferryman, quoth the good knight, and I will give thee as meed an arm-ring of ruddy gold. Now that of this passage I have great need in truth. So noble was the ferryman that it behooved him not to serve. Therefore he full seldom took wage of any wight. His squires, too, were full of lofty mood, and all this time Hagen still stood alone, this side of the flood. He called with a might and main, that all the water rang, for mickle and great was the hero's strength. Now fetch me. I am Almeric, else liegeman, that because of a great feud did void these lands. High upon his spear he offered him an armband, bright and fair it was of ruddy gold, that one should ferry him over to Gelfert's land. The haughty ferryman, the which was newly wed himself, did take the oar in hand, as he had won Hagen's gold so red. Therefore he died the sword grim death at the hands of the knight. The greed for great goods doth give an evil end. Speedily the boatman rowed across the sandy bank, and when he found no trace of him whose name he heard, wroth he grew in earnest. When he spied Hagen, the fierce rage he spake to hero. You may perchance hide Almeric, but ye are not like him whom I weened here. By father and by mother he was my brother. Sith ye have bewayed me, ye may stay on this hither shore. No, by the mighty God, spake then Hagen, I am a stranger knight, and have warriors in my care. Now take thee kindly my mead today, and ferry me over. I am in truth your friend. The ferryman replied, This may not be. My dear lords have foes. Wherever I never ferry strangers to this land. If ye love your life, step out quickly upon the sand. Now do it not, spake Hagen. Sad is my mind. Take this good gold from me as token of my love, and ferry us across, 1,000 horse and just as many men. The grim boatman answered, 'Twill ne'er be done. He raised a mighty rudder oar, mickle and broad, and struck at Hagen. Full wroth he grew at this, so that he fell upon his knees in boat. The lord of Tronig had never met so fierce a ferryman. Still more the boatman would vex the haughty stranger. He smote with oar so that it quite broken over Hagen's head, for a man of might was he. From this the ferryman of else took great harm. Hagen, fierce of mood, seized straightway his teeth, wherein he found his sword. His head he struck off and cast it upon the ground. In his stoop these tidings were made known to the proud Burgundians. At the very moment that he slew the boatman, the skiff came drifting down the stream. And now that irked him. Weary he grew before he brought it back, and King Gunther's liegemen pulled with might and main, and with passing swift strokes the stranger turned it, until the sturdy oar snapped in his hand. He would hence to the knights out upon the shore. None other oar he had. Oh, how quickly he bounded with shield he strapped, a narrow band. Towards a wood he floated down the stream, where he found his sovereign standing by the shore. Many a stately man went down to meet him, and the doughty knights and good received him with kindly greeting, when they beheld in his skiff the blood reeking from gaping wound which he had dealt the ferryman. Hagen was plied enow with questions by the knights. When the King Gunther spied the hot blood swirling in the skiff, how quickly he spake. Who foretell me not, Hagen, whether the ferryman be come? I ween your prowess hath bereft him of his life. At this he answered quite craftily. When I found the skiff hard by Willow Tree, I loosed it with my hand. I have seen no ferryman here today, nor hath harm happened to anyone who fault of mine. Then spake Sir Gernot of Burgundy. I must needs fear the death of dear friends today, sith we have no boatmen here at hand. How shall we come over? Therefore I must perforce stand sad. Loudly then called Hagen, Ye footmen, lay the trappings down upon the grass. I bethink me that once I was the very best of boatmen that one might find among the Rhine. I trow to bring you all safe across the Gerfalt's land. They struck the horses at these that might sooner come across the floods. Passing well they swam, for the mighty waves bereft them of not a one. Some few drifted far down the stream, as did befit their weariness. Then the knights bare to the skiff their gold and their weeds, sith there was no help for the crossing. Hagen played the steersman, and so he fared full well many mighty warriors over to sandy shore, unto the unknown land. First he took across 1,000 noble knights, then his own men-at-arms. Still there were more to come. 9,000 footmen he ferried over the land. Aught but idle was Hagen's hand that day, and when he had carried them all safe across the flood, the doughty knight and good bethought him of the strange tales which the wild mermaid told him before. For this cause the king's chaplain nearly lost his life. He found the priest close by the chapel lodge, leaning with his hand upon the relics. Little might that boot him. When Hagen spied him, ill fared it with the hapless priest. He threw him from the skiff in haste, and now of them called out, "Hold on, Hagen, hold!" Gristler the youth gan rage, but Hagen let none come between. Then spake Sir Gernot of Burgundy, "What availeth you now, Hagen, the chaplain's death? Had another done the deed, would have irked you sore. For what cause have ye sworn enmity to the priest?" The clerk now tried to swim with might and main, for he would fain save his life, if perchance any there would help him. That night might not be, for the stalwart Hagen was wroth and mood. He thrust him to the bottom, the which thought no good. When the poor priest saw naught of help, he turned him back again. Sore was he discomforted, but though he could not swim, yet did God's hand help him, so that he came safe and sound to land again. There poor clerk stood and shook his robe. Hagen marked thereby that naught might avail against the tidings which the mild mermaids had told him. Him thought, these knights all must lose their lives. When the liegemen of the three kings unloaded the skiff, and borne all away which they had upon it, Hagen brake it to pieces and threw it upon the flood, at which the bold knights and good did marvel much. "Wherefore do ye that, brother?" quoth Dankwart. "How shall we come over when we ride homeward from the Huns back to the Rhine?" Later, Hagen told him that might not be, and the hero of Tronig spoke. "I do it in the hope that if we have a coward on this journey, who through faint-heartedness would run away, that in the stream he may die a shameful death." They had with them for Burgundy a land of his lands, and which was named Folker. Wisely he spake all his mind. Whatever Hagen did, it thought the fiddler good. Their steeds were now ready, their sumpters laden well, and on the journey they had taken no harm that irked them, save the king's chaplain lone. He must needs wander back on foot to Rhine again.